Yeah.
My name is Cole Watkins, and today I'm presenting my program Part B section of our Safety Program Management project. Our first graph is recordables and near miss graph. This graph allows us to see the total number of recordables and near misses from the data. As you can see, we had 5 recordables from the data, and we had 359 near misses from the data. All in all, this just allows us to see from what section how many of each we had. So how many recordables, how many near misses in this instance. It just allows us to see the total number of those. This is the average day of the week near misses graph, the day of the week near miss graph. This graph allows us as an employer to see what days were more susceptible to seeing near miss reports than other days, and what we came to conclude was that Tuesdays from the data had the most on average near miss reports. As we can see here, on Tuesday we had 72 near miss reports for a high, and then our second highest was Saturday at 64 near miss reports. All in all, this graph allows us to see as an employer, as a company, what days are most problematic, what days we're seeing that are going to have the most near miss reports, and what we're doing, what's happening on those days that we need to intervene and to control and keep from happening to allow those numbers to decrease and not increase. And we can also use that to use on the other days as well to keep those numbers to decrease as well. Here we have the group member versus non-group member near miss graph or chart. This graph allows us to see basically what percentage of near misses were recorded from group members and what percentage of near misses were recorded from non-group members. As you can see here, our non-group member section, which is the blue section on the pie chart, we had 238 near miss reported from a non-group member standpoint, and then we had in the red section 118 group member near miss reports reported or recorded from the data, and that's what we get to see from this graph. All in all, this allows us to see basically just non-group member to group member what was going on. This is the hybrid graph. As you can see, this is probably the most important graph, or one of the most important ones that was done. This graph allows us to see the near miss reports, but it allows us to see in what safety area those near miss reports were reported from, and allows us to break those down even farther into were those near miss reports intolerable, tolerable, or negligible. As you can see here, all of these are in red, yellow, or green. The red is intolerable, the yellow is tolerable, and the green is negligible. And those are based off of a chart of catastrophic to minor or probable to extremely improbable on the likelihood of the severity and the probability that those would occur. As you can see here on our first safety area, which is mobile equipment, that was our most frequented safety area with near miss reports. It also was the one we didn't do so great in. As we can see, we had 33 intolerable reports off of that, 14 tolerables and 15 negligibles. That's the worst out of all of these. Definitely an area that we need to keep our eye on as a company and focus on and see what we're doing wrong so we can prevent it, and go from there. Some of the other areas we did better in would be more like a lockout tagout. We did pretty extremely well in that one. Safety area having to do with temperature, our bloodborne pathogens, our guarding on our equipment, our culture, our line breaking, and our excavation. Some of those were some of the ones we did better in the safety areas. All in all, this allows us to see as a company or employer what safety areas can we do better in, what safety areas are we doing better in, and finding a balance in between those, and learning from the ones we're doing good in, and learning from the ones we're doing bad in, and implementing what we're doing good into the ones we're doing bad, trying to lower those numbers. Our next graph is the time of incident graph. This graph allows us as an employer to see what times the near misses that were calculated from the data that was recorded, what times those near misses were most reported, what times they were least reported, and we can see that here. And we have the number of near misses that reported at maybe the same time. As we can see here, we had a peak in near miss reports from around 9 a.m. to about 3 p.m. was some of our highest peaks that we had. And then some of our lowest times we had, which we didn't have really any near miss reports, was from about 11 p.m. to about 12 or to about 4 a.m. So really we need to look at what we're doing there, maybe what's going on, and try and implement that into maybe some of our midday times, as we can see here at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., 3 p.m. to try and take those numbers down and those peaks down, and to do better at those times. That's what this graph allows us to see. Our next graph is our OIR graph. This is our incident report graph. As we can see, we go from January to December, from month to month, recording this OIR, and we start out in January about a 6.5, or excuse me, about a 6.2 or 3, and that is kind of a high number to start out at. As we see, we progress through the year, we start to see a decrease in the OIR calculated, and so that really is good, but we would probably preferably like to start more at a lower level, a lower number. Instead of starting out at a 6.2 or 3, we should try and be down around to where we ended at the end of the year. We need to start there and try and stay down instead of try to start high and progress down. It would be nice to start at a lower number and to stay at a lower number. Next, we have our monthly near miss graph. This graph is just letting us see from month to month and with the data from where the data was collected, what month had the highest, what month had the lowest near misses. As we can see, March had the highest. We had 130 near misses in March. We had 107, which is our second highest, in April. And then we see a large decrease from April to May and into June, from 107 down to 1 near miss reports, which is really good. It just is a large jump. And so we just could see what we were doing in May and June, which was better than what we were doing in March. So we just need to keep doing what we're doing in May and June instead of March, and keep those numbers down on the near miss charts. Next, we have the analysis of the top 5 near misses. Our top 5 was number 1, number 4, number 15, number 126, and number 154. Those are our top 5 near miss reports in order from what they were given. They all had to do with mobile equipment. Like I was talking about earlier in the higher graph, those top 5 came from the mobile equipment, which was one of the worst areas that we did in. So that definitely is something we need to look at and pay attention to. Number 1, number 4, and number 15 were all catastrophic probable 16, which is the worst rating you can get in the HIRA. So these top near misses, like I was saying, they're recorded by the HIRA chart, or the HIRA way of recording things. And when you do that on a HIRA, you go from a catastrophic to a hazardous to a major to a minor accident on the probability level, or the severity level, excuse me. And then on the probability level on the other side of the chart is a probable, a remote, an extremely remote, and an extremely improbable. And starting up in the top, so if you're looking at it in the top left-hand corner, you'd have 4, 2, 3, or 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 4, 3, 2, 1 down the other side. And it's broken up in the middle into the intolerable, tolerable, and negligible parts of those charts. And so with those charts, you multiply down, you multiply over. So whatever you meet, that's what that is. That's how you get your 16, that's how you get your 12. So if you have a catastrophic and a probable, which are both 4s on their charts, you go down, you multiply that, you get a 16. That's how you get the catastrophic probable 16s, which are the worst. And then you get your catastrophic remote, which is going to be also like a number 1 on the severity level, but it's going to be like more of like a number 2 on the probability level, which is a little less as severe, but is still one of the most or the higher scores of a HIRA chart. And so that is how you look at that chart I'm hoping that helped explain that chart a little bit more. So these top near misses, like I was saying, they're recorded by the HIRA chart, or the HIRA way of recording things. And when you do that on a HIRA, you go from a catastrophic to a hazardous to a major to a minor accident on the probability level, or the severity level, excuse me. And then on the probability level on the other side of the chart is a probable, a remote, an extremely remote, and an extremely improbable. And starting up in the top, so if you're looking at it in the top left-hand corner, you'd have 4, 2, 3, or 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 4, 3, 2, 1 down the other side. And it's broken up in the middle into the intolerable, tolerable, and negligible parts of those charts. And so with those charts, you multiply down, you multiply over. So whatever you meet, that's what that is. That's how you get your 16, that's how you get your 12. So if you have a catastrophic and a probable, which are both 4s on their charts, you go down, you multiply that, you get a 16. That's how you get the catastrophic probable 16s, which are the worst. And then you get your catastrophic remote, which is going to be also like a number 1 on the severity level, but it's going to be like more of like a number 2 on the probability level, which is a little less as severe, but is still one of the most, or the higher scores of a HIRA chart. And so that is how you look at that chart. I'm hoping that helped explain that chart a little bit more. So those are definitely things to look at. Also, the last two, 126 and 154, were a catastrophic remote 12 of a HIRA. And most of these were due to the fact of somebody operating a vehicle or operating equipment, and then being on their phone while doing so. And definitely how to control those is either get the operator to get off their phone, or to fine them, or give them, or to reprimand them, so they know that doing that is punishment to themselves. Next, we have our RCA, which is the 5 whys, or our root cause analysis. Bob Smith had a reportable on the job. He received weld burns, and now we find out why. Our 5 whys here could be: why were the burns on his arm specifically? Why were the burns on his hand specifically? Why was Bob wearing a short sleeve shirt while he was welding? Why was Bob 20 minutes late to work? Or why was Bob welding with regular leather gloves? Bob had woke up late and in a rush accidentally left his FR PPE, which includes is long sleeve and gloves that are suitable for the job of welding, which all in all leaves him vulnerable. His arms are vulnerable and his hands vulnerable to those burns. That's why he got those burns specifically there. Maybe Bob was 20 minutes late. He was maybe in a rush and forgot that correct PPE, causing him to have those burns and leaving himself exposed to getting those burns. Is probably why, or where the questions we ask in the why, in the 5 whys, that leads us to that conclusion of him being in a rush, forgetting his FR clothes or his PPE, and causing him to be exposed to burns. Our cost analysis. So one of our recordables is number 1 is Captain Allen, which was a metal. He got metal in his eye, causing him vision loss. A direct cost of that is $75,000, or the upper side of $75,000. Indirect cost is $83,000, in the mid range of $83,000, and then a total combined cost of those is $159,000, give or take. And that's just one recordable. Down the bottom here we have 5 mobile equipment near misses. Those are the 5 I was talking about earlier. Those combined, their direct cost is $240,000. An indirect cost of those is $264,000, and then a total combined cost of that is $504,000, give or take. I mean, you can look at the numbers here, and those numbers should justify to you, just by looking at those numbers, that this company needs at least one safety professional, and if not one, more than one safety professional. Just by looking at the numbers, I mean, you can save the company you can save a company $500,000 by having a safety professional that's going to implement the safety precautions necessary to not allowing those near misses to happen, or not allowing those recordables to happen. That saves you money. And in my opinion, if that's going to save you money, then you might as well do it. So, and these numbers, like I said, justify having a safety person. And when you can look, safety people make quite a bit of money when they come on. And you can look at these numbers, and you could use these numbers to justify getting a safety person and almost more than one safety person, just because of the numbers that are presented here. At $500,000 we could save the salary for safety person, or multiple safety persons for that matter, to be able to pay and bring them on to work here at Brown LLC. And so that, all in all, like I said, just justifies the reasoning for having a safety person on the job, like I said, or more than one safety person. And that just should justify in the eyes of the employer or Brown LLC that we should have a safety person or more than one safety person. Cost analysis. Would I buy or invest in this company? If this opportunity was presented to me to invest or buy in this company, I probably wouldn't, for a few reasons. One's too much upfront cost for corrective actions. There's going to be too much upfront cost to put into the safety or implementing safety into this company to be able to get a return or to get a profit off of that. There's too much upfront cost to go into it with. Also, with this much near miss, the safety culture can't be great. Safety culture is everything. If you don't have a good safety culture, then it's so hard to try and come back from that and to gain a good safety culture when there wasn't one. And then also if there's any missing number of safety precautions causing so many near misses, how great can the safety budget be? If there was this many near misses and this many reports, then how great is the safety precautions that are in place? And then if so, if that budget can also always be changed, but trying to gain the respect back from your employees is much harder than just changing a budget. So that's probably why I would invest or buy in this company. OSHA 300 log. From everything that I looked at, the OSHA 300 log that I was given looked fine. It was filled out. There was no problems with it. And there's nothing else that needs to be corrected on the OSHA 300 log. And now we move into the Brown LLC wellness program. We start out here by making employees aware of obesity. Obesity is the main aspect we're going to look at, or main item we're going to look at that was on the health risk assessment. This item was the highest at 64% of the people or the employees at Brown Wellness LLC or at a Brown LLC company. So this is what we're going to look at, is obesity. The goals of Brown LLC Wellness Program: improving employee morale and motivation, improving employee quality of life, and striving to prevent chronic diseases in our employees. Improving employee morale and motivation, that's going to be our number one goal. If you don't have employees in the workplace that are trying to motivate themselves and motivate the people around them that they're working with, and to have good morale with those between those employees, then that work culture that people want to work in isn't there. It's not one that people want to work in. And so to boost that morale, to boost that motivation, that's what we're shooting for through this wellness program. Improving employee quality of life. Of course, we want our employees to be working for us long term. And that goes right hand in hand with striving to prevent chronic diseases. If our employees are getting chronic diseases because of their health and it not being good, that doesn't do us as a company any good. That doesn't do them as an individual good, because they're not making. This slide is our program details in the wellness program. Our first detail is going to be monthly weight competitions. Those are just going to be pushed pretty hard, just to kind of bring about a competitive side of our employees, just to have them, strive to win a competition and just bring out the competitive side. Next, we're going to have our weekly wellness assessments with the employees to improve their eating habits. I know eating healthy is hard. It takes time. It takes thinking out. It takes a process. And so definitely as a employer and implementing this wellness program, we're going to try and to get our employees to try and change their eating habits to be more healthy. And in doing so, that we're going to try and add more healthier food in the rest areas and break rooms to just go ahead and try and help out their eating habits to be more healthier. And lastly on that, we are designated exercise times at the company's gym. So we do have a gym at Brown LLC. We're going to have designated exercise times and classes for employees to partake in and hopefully be good for them. And we're also not just going to have those designated times for employees to exercise in those designated classes, but we're also going to have the gym open for employees to come exercise whenever they want to. Maybe they want to exercise more than what they were going to in a regular class time or at those designated exercise times we have scheduled, and they want to exercise more. That's up to them, their own discretion. So we're going to have that gym open from time to time, and those times will be posted in break rooms and lobbies and on our website to let them know what times they can come work out. Money and the company themselves is also not making money, and not that that's our most important thing, but we want to see our employees strive to do better for themselves. Marketing of the program and rewards. We as a company made flyers and brochures to put in the break rooms and lobbies of Brown LLC. We also posted about the program on the company's social media and website. We also have rewards for meeting the goals within the program and completing the program. Those rewards include more bonus money, extra money on holiday bonuses. And also we do giveaways at the end of the wellness program. If you have completed the wellness program, you get your name put in a drawing. Lastly, to measure the results of the wellness program, our supervisors will be checking in with our employees on a daily basis before their shift, seeing how they're doing, seeing if they're progressing well in a good manner, and seeing how the wellness program is suiting them. Thank you, and this is Program Management Part B section of my